Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 14th of March, now it's 2 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There's quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me once again emphasize how grateful I am for your time, attention and support. It truly does mean a lot to me, so thank you very much. That being said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with the Ukrainian special military operation. There are quite huge developments, and I will start with this information here. This is RIA Novosti news agency reporting that PMC Wagner units did establish full control over the Vostok-Mash department of Azom steel manufacturing plant in Bakhmut. Let me show you that area. So this is Bakhmut here. Steel manufacturing plant is north side. Entire this territory is a steel manufacturing plant, and northern part of that plant is already under Russian control now. As you can see, PMC Wagner units are moving forward in quite rapid pace, as I was predicting in my previous updates. And we have some more information about Bakhmut. I did share on my Telegram channel this information also, that PMC Wagner units enter from western part of Bakhmut, enter street of Tchaikovsky, and they are now closing in on this college, Bakhmut Industrial College, which is, let me show you on this map here, which is basically in this area. And you can see if it's true, then Bakhmut garnison basically are encircled. That's what it is, because all the roads from Bakhmut to Chisov are under direct Russian control. Yet again, if this information is true, because Bakhmut garnison was trying to use this road here from west side, and from the eastern part they were using road that goes through Krasnoye, this little settlement here. But as you can see, if forward units of PMC Wagner now are in close proximity from Bakhmut Industrial College, that means that all the roads basically are closed now for Bakhmut garnison. We have some more update when it comes to this direction, and this is RIA Novosti still reporting that Bakhmut, not just in Bakhmut, PMC Wagner units are achieving success, but they are also moving in direction of Chesov Yar, and now they are in visual range from railway that connects Chesov Yar, which is this settlement here, Chesov Yar, with the western parts of Ukraine. So basically now it's impossible for Zelensky's regime to use railway to supply or reinforced Chesov Yar garrison. Bakhmut basically is already cut off. We can say with some certainty that Bakhmut now is fully cut off from Chesov Yar. And as I was predicting, PMC Wagner units are achieving quite success inside the Bakhmut, and they are moving in rapid speed, and that was expectable, at least for me, because as I was saying in my previous videos, Bakhmut garnison is broke. They are broke, first of all, mentally, and they are broke physically also, because some units in Bakhmut did not rotate for 5, 6, 10 months even. So they are just exhausted and they cannot fight. That's why I'm saying best decision that they can make is to surrender to Russian side, negotiate, surrender, and save their lives. So it's only matter of days now probably, and Bakhmut garnison will entirely collapse, maybe before end of this week even. And we will see rapid advance of Russian side in direction of Chesov Yar also, because we do have some reports from PMC Wagner units that Bakhmut, Chisovyar garnison is very weak, and basically they are not really able to conduct properly conduct defensive operations. So I believe it's only a matter of week, maximum 2 weeks, and not just Bakhmut but also Chisovyar will become under full Russian control. We can see here that as I was predicting, Wagner units also establishing control over the Orekhovo-Vasilievka. Even this pro-Ukrainian map is now acknowledging that at least half of this settlement is under Russian control. In reality, I believe entire this settlement is under Russian control, and as I just said, forward units of PMC Wagner now closing in on Chisovyar from the northern side, from north, and they are in a visual range from a railway that connects Chisovyar with the western parts of Ukraine. So quite significant developments. It definitely seems like entire this defense line of Ukrainian forces in general direction of Bakhmut is collapsing. So things may develop in a very rapid pace in next few days. Let's continue now. And yes, basically that's a confirmation of what I just said. This is RIA Novosti is reporting that soldiers of PMC Wagner are saying that even though Bakhmut garnison, units of Bakhmut garnison are trying to put up some fight, they are just unable. They are exhausted mentally, they are exhausted physically, and they are unable to conduct effectively conduct defensive operations. And according to this news, once Wagner units reach yet another defense line of Bakhmut garnison, it only takes a day or two, and that new line is collapsing, and that stuff is repeating itself. Every new defense line will hold on maybe day, maybe two, and then Ukrainian soldiers retreating and defense line is collapsing. So as I said, before end of this week, most of the Bakhmut probably will be under full Russian control, and maybe even entire Bakhmut itself. And the next stage automatically become Chisovyar. Let's continue now. Let's continue. And this is TASS News Agency reporting about sabotage that was carried out by Ukrainian forces in Novaya Kakhovka. And we have information that sabotage groups of Zelensky's regime are trying to enter this dam here. As you probably remember, I did talk about this possibility of this kind of development just a few days ago. And this is Novaya Kakhovka here, and this is dam and energo facility, which is supplied with the energy, as I understand, the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. And as I was saying a few days ago, this dam here, only way for Ukrainian side to move large quantities of armored vehicles on the left bank of this waterway, Dnieper, basically. And we have reports that Zelensky's regime, forces of Zelensky's regime, are becoming more and more active. They are trying to conduct some sabotage operations in area of Novaya Kakhovka. They are trying to enter energo plant in Novaya Kakhovka on this dam. And in next few days, if Zelensky's regime truly planning to conduct in, let's say, months or months and a half time, large-scale offensive or counteroffensive operation in direction of this land bridge that connects Crimean Peninsula to mainland Russia, Zelensky's regime definitely needs, in that case, to establish control over this dam. and over the Novaya Kakhovka basically. And that's why I was predicting like a few days ago that Ukrainian side will become more active in this direction, and they are now. It's confirmed information. And in next days, armed forces of Ukraine probably will try to breach this waterway and establish some bridgeheads in around Novaya Kakhovka. I think they will be unsuccessful, but yet again, it's a military conflict and anything is possible. But if I did predict this development, I think think tanks in Russian defense ministry will probably also predicted this kind of development, and they are, I assume they are ready for possible attacks from Ukrainian side, not just in direction of Novaya Kakhovka, but also in any direction in the eastern, not eastern, but in southern part of front line. Let's continue now. As you can see, these blue dots, this is live map, so we can say that right now, or maybe like hour ago or a little more, entire Ukraine was under air raid alert. There were some reports that Russian side did fired from Belgorod region and Kursk region some missiles, some ballistic missiles to target logistical and military infrastructure of Zelensky's regime, but I did not see any confirmation of this information, so I will leave it on that. So let's continue now, and we have continuation of previous topic. This is RIA Novosti is reporting that Zelensky's regime now sending its aviation in direction of Zaporozhye region. This is Vladimir Rogov, official from Zaporozhye region, is reporting about this. And to be honest, when I see this information, I was quite surprised, because it's hard for me to understand why any airfield is still in working conditions anywhere in Ukraine, especially in the central and eastern parts. So now official from Zaporozhye is saying that Ukrainian side is sending its aviation in Zaporozhye region. Let me show you on the map this area. So that's the Zaporozhye region, and I'm truly surprised that any airfield is in working condition, not just in Zaporozhye region or in the east part, but on the entire Ukraine. How that is possible, I don't understand. But yet again, if this information is true, then we are definitely seeing some indicators that Zelensky's regime will, are preparing counteroffensive in direction of this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia. And in the next days and weeks, we will probably see more and more Ukrainian units in this area, not just aviation units, but also ground forces will be sent in Zaporozhye and Kherson region. But yet again, as I said many times before, I'm quite sure that if Moscow will not give orders to Russian side to withdraw from this land bridge, there is no way that Zelensky's regime will be able to defeat Russian forces in this area and establish control over this land bridge. Only way they can do this if Moscow, for some strange reasons, will decide to regroup Russian forces and allow Zelensky's regime to move in and take control over this area. That will be taken by Russia. This kind of development, I hope that will not happen, but if it will, then Russian society will receive this kind of development as a high treason from high-ranking officials, not just in military, but in political leadership also. Society will not receive this kind of development well. So I hope this will not happen, because I don't need any destabilization in Russia. But yet again, anything is possible. So let's continue. And this is what TASS news agency is reporting about article that was published on Wall Street Journal. And in this article, Wall Street Journal did acknowledge heavy casualties of Ukrainian side in Bakhmut and surrounding areas, and difficulties that Bakhmut garrison and main forces of Ukraine in this area experiencing when it comes to supply lines. And this is true, basically. First few news was confirming that Russian side now establishing control not just on the roads that connects Bakhmut to Chisov Yar, but now under fire control of Russian forces are even railways and roads that are Chisov Yar is connecting with western parts, central and western parts of Ukraine. So Wall Street Journal is writing this on this topic. Zelensky's regime, Ukrainian armed forces, is definitely experiencing difficulties, logistical difficulties in general direction of Bakhmut, and they are, taking very heavy casualties. When it comes to heavy casualties, yesterday, Ukrainian officials and Ukrainian media and Telegram channels were very active to report about some huge casualties that Russian side did take in previous 24 hours. There were reports from Ukraine that Russia lost up to 1,000 soldiers in a single day. Even I was asked under yesterday's update in comment sections if it's true, if I have any information about it. And to be honest, I did answer on that question, and I said that even though this is military conflict and anything is possible, I find it very hard to believe that Ukrainian side is able or capable of inflicting to Russian forces such a high level of casualties. I just don't see it happening. Even on theoretical level, it's hard, man, to imagine how Ukrainian side will conduct such successful operations to inflict such a big losses on Russian side, because there is no reports that Ukrainian side did achieve any success whatsoever for a long time now. So, they may say anything really. They may say that they did inflict like even more casualties on Russia's side. They may say that they did kill and wounded 10, 20, 50 or 100,000 people in a day. But how are you going to believe this kind of crap, man? I just don't know. I don't see that kind of stuff is happening. So let's continue. This is RBK News agency is reporting that you probably are already familiar. I did share on my Telegram channel this information. And Russian Foreign Ministry officially confirmed that Russian side prolonged grain deal. Russian side agreed to grain deal to be prolonged on 60 days. And as I understand what I see on Telegram channels, citizens of Russia are quite upset because of this development, because just a few weeks ago, same foreign ministry of Russian Federation were officially stating that, and defense ministry also, that grain deal had been used by Zelensky's regime and Western masters of Zelensky's regime to deliver to Zelensky's regime military equipment, even radioactive substances. And now we are seeing that Moscow is agreed to prolong this deal. It's quite contradictory, isn't it? If you are saying that this deal have been used by Zelensky's regime to reinforce itself and to receive even radioactive materials, for God's sake, to conduct some provocation against Russia, why you are prolonging this deal? Why you allowing Zelensky's regime to use its ports to receive anything, basically? Where is the logic, for God's sake? And society are quite upset. Society that pays attention to news and politics in general. And you will probably see on many Telegram channels reactions from Russian citizens. They are very much not happy because of this development. And we have statement from Kremlin, spokesperson of Russian President Dmitry Peskov said that prolongation of this grain deal for 60 days is a gesture of goodwill from Moscow. And let's be honest, man, it's society don't really understands this kind of movements, and too many gestures of goodwill that has been used by Ukrainian side to kill Russian citizens. It's just too much, really. And Kremlin is truly risking, with these kind of steps, truly risking to lose society's support. Because, I mean, come on, man. One day you are saying that Zelensky using grain deal to reinforce itself and to receive even radioactive materials. This is not a joke, man. This is radioactive materials. It's never a joke when it comes to dirty bombs or nuclear weapons. And second day, you are saying that you are agreed to prolong this deal. Come on, bro. That's mistake. That's mistake, big time mistake, and Russian society are not happy about this. And yes, let me. What the hell, man? So this page, when I see this page, that means that I have to say a few words to promote my channel. So yes, if you think this channel is interesting, if you think this channel is useful and has some potential, and if you think that this channel deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal or subscribe to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box. Of course, I will be very grateful for your help. So let's continue now. I did advertise my channel. So this is also interesting. We have statements from head of ruling party in Georgia. As you know, Georgia is quite active in media field recently for last week because of this attempt from US to prepare ground for regime change, and for now it's quiet. Situation become more or less quiet in Georgia, but I do believe if Washington is determined to conduct regime change and to use Georgia and to sacrifice Georgia and use this state as a second front against Russia, there will be some more attempts to destabilize Georgia in the next days and weeks. But for now, we have statement from chairman of ruling party in Georgia, Georgian Dream. That's the name of that party. So statement from Irakli Kobachidze says that mentioning Mikhail Saakashvili among political prisoners shows the corruption problems that European Parliament has. So in European Parliament, many so-called MPs that definitely are corrupt, and they did enjoy lavish life whenever they visit Georgia when Saakashvili was Georgian president, and they probably received some funds also from Saakashvili's criminal regime. So those so-called MPs constantly pushing narrative that Saakashvili somehow, this war criminal Saakashvili is somehow political prisoner, which is lie, absolute lie. Saakashvili is war criminal and should be in jail before end of his shitty life. He did not deserve to see even one day outside of prison. That's 100%. And these kind of statements, I'm sharing with you this statement because it shows you shift that is happening in elites, in Georgian elites. They are now openly entering conflict with some representatives of Western elites. Yes, Prime Minister of Georgia just a few days ago had televised a speech, and he was quite direct towards Zelensky and Zelensky's regime. He was accusing Zelensky of destabilizing, on attempt to destabilize Georgia, and that's true. Zelensky's regime definitely support those criminals that were trying to enter parliament building in Georgia and destabilize situation in Georgian capital. But Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili did not say anything about USA, when everyone knows that it's USA that in reality using its assets in Georgia, in Ukraine, to destabilize the situation in Tbilisi and to prepare ground for regime change. But even though Georgian elites are ruling party, at least, they are careful when it comes to mentioning USA. They are afraid. They have enough courage to at least conflict with some European MPs, and that's what we are seeing. The statement from Kobakhidze is that just a representation of that something is changing in Georgia, and they are starting to realize that West was using Georgia and will use Georgia always as a tool, and they did not care really about citizens of Georgia. It was obvious for me 20 and 30 years ago. It was obvious for me always, since the collapse of Soviet Union, basically. But it's good that after so many years, some representatives of Georgian political elites are starting to realize what is happening in reality. And this is again a statement from Irakli Kobakhidze, chairman of ruling party in Georgia. And he's saying that membership of European Union is not possible at the expense of giving up dignity and independence. So that's right words. And yet again, I hope Georgian society and the ruling party in Georgia will distance themselves from Western criminal elites, because when it comes to danger for Georgia and Georgian society, danger comes from West, not from the North, not from Russia, but from the West. And that was case always. West was always trying to destabilize relationships between Georgia and Russia, and Western elites many times conduct anti-Russian moves by using Georgia, including in 2008 when Washington basically managed to even provoke military conflict between Georgia and Russia using that war criminal Saakashvili, who was president of Georgia at the time. So I hope Georgian government and Georgian society will realize from where real danger is coming and will act accordingly. Let's continue now. This is RIA Novosti's reporting, and that's quite interesting. Also, so in previous week, 14,000 Russian citizens left Georgia and come back to Russia. That's according to information from border crossings. And this is kind of a trend, as I understand, because if Washington will succeed with regime change, it's obvious that in power, Washington will establish extremely anti-Russian elements, criminals. And for Russian citizens, Georgia will become quite a dangerous place to be in that scenario. Right now, Russian tourists and Russian citizens are quite welcome in Georgia, and they are not experiencing any difficulties. In some occasions, there may be some issues, but that's just a few bad apples, let's say. In general, Russian citizens and Russian tourists are quite welcome in Georgia, and I hope that will be the case in the future also. But if Washington will conduct regime change, and if Washington will replace current government with extremely Russophobic elements and criminals, then situation will change drastically, and probably that's why we are seeing now kind of wave of Russian citizens that are returning to Russia. And Georgia is a very popular destination for Russian citizens, that should be said. Georgia is a wonderful place. I truly encourage you to visit Georgia if you've never been there. It's a wonderful nature, wonderful people, wonderful culture, history, cuisine. So, you're going to enjoy your time if you visit Georgia, that's for sure. And I believe it's up to 200,000 Russian citizens at any moment are in Georgia as tourists, and many of the Russian citizens even living in Georgia on a permanent base. So this is TASS News Agency. Let's continue. How long is this video? 33 minutes. Okay, few more news, and yes, that's it. So we have a statement from Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni. She is quite disappointed, disappointment, isn't it? Everyone, not everyone, but many people were thinking that Giorgia Meloni will be kind of anti-globalist leader that Italy needed or Europe needs, but in reality, in the very first day that she became prime minister, she made statements that was, So now she is saying that the Vatican can be placed to conduct peace negotiations between Russian side and Ukrainian side. And to be honest, why not? But because Vatican is mainly religious institution, Ukrainians and Russians are Orthodox Christians, isn't it? So why didn't it conduct peace negotiations in Athens in that case, or in Jerusalem? But anyway, I'm all for peace and end of every conflict everywhere. So if one day, when sides are ready, Moscow and Kiev will conduct peace negotiations in Vatican, I will have nothing against it, of course. Let's continue now. This is RIA Novosti, and according to this news, in 2024, US will spend $170 billion to buy some new military equipment. And also 145 billion will be allocated. That's quite sums of money, isn't it? So 145 billion will be allocated to conduct some research and testing of new weapons. US can afford this kind of spending because they are living, as long as dollar is staying as a world main reserve currency, Washington can basically use print as many dollars as they wish, or borrow money from rest of the world, and they can afford to spend so much money on military. But numbers are quite something, isn't it? So this is RIA Novosti. Biden didn't promise that bankruptcy of Silicon Valley Bank will not resolve in a chain reaction, and some other banks will not follow suit. To be honest, I don't really believe that Biden do understands what is happening in banking system of USA. In very first day, when Silicon Valley become bankrupt, here in Russia, financial experts were saying that US will deal with it with this situation fairly quickly, and there will be no financial or banking crisis in USA. But now, when we see that many other banks are experiencing serious difficulties, now mood is changing, as I understand, and even though no one is saying yet that US financial system and banking system is on the verge of complete collapse. At least I did not see that kind of strong words. Everyone is agreed that US will experience some serious difficulties when it comes to banking system, not just US, but even entire Western world. I'm not financial expert, so I don't know. I have to believe what experts are saying. So that's RT, and I want to share with you just a few headlines, because I did see this headline, and according to RT's news, US banking crisis could lead to the collapse of the Western financial system. That's quite a strong word, to be honest, but I don't think so. Probably in a quite short period of time, US will manage to deal with this crisis. And this headline is also interesting. I don't know how RT come up with this headline, because all the news that I read from financial experts, they were saying that yes, US will experience some difficulties, and the Western financial system also, but it's far away to say that entire system will collapse. But maybe RT did spoke with some other experts, and they have different ideas. And this headline is also interesting, isn't it? Russian oil supplies to Germany shrink 99.9%, which is quite something, isn't it? And this is gonna be last news for this update. RIA Novosti is reporting on a publication that was from New York Post. And according to that publication, US will no longer will be able to print dollars, as many dollars as they wish, because anti-Russian sanctions provoke Russia and many other countries to start trading between each other using other currencies, using their own national currencies and some currencies of neutral, more or less neutral states. And this is true, this is factual true. And because of this reality, of course, demand for US dollar is shrinking worldwide. But yet again, it's early to call, in my opinion. It's early to call collapse for the dollar. In 10, 15 years time, maybe, but not now. US dollar is too strong. It's main reserve currency, and it's not easy to replace it. Yes, Russia and China, Russia and India, Russia and many other countries are now trading in national currencies, or they are using Chinese yuan more and more extensively, or dirham. That's a currency of United Arab Emirates, for example. But the US dollar still is a big deal. And in 10, 15 years, maybe BRICS countries will come up with some other currency that will be that will have as much demand as dollar has. But now, no, man. Now I think dollar will stay as a main reserve currency. And to be honest, I don't think if US government will conduct itself properly, adequately, then countries will don't scare to deal with dollars, to trade with dollars and to have dollars in the reserves. So it all depends on US, how US will conduct itself, really, isn't it? I hope in 2024 some adequate people will receive power from Biden administration, and then things may change quite dramatically, really, in good direction. I hope so, at least. But if these so-called Democrats and the neoliberals will stay in power, they will destroy not just dollar's reputation, they will destroy US reputation entirely, and they will destroy US economy and world economy with it, because US economy is a major economy in the world. And yes, one more news. Yesterday I did share information that was published on Bloomberg about India's decision to apply sanctions on Russia, especially when it comes to oil trade. And to be honest, I was searching on Russian media outlets, any reaction from Russian side. I did not find anything. And then, even though all major Russian media outlets did write about it, about this article that from Bloomberg, and then yesterday our friends, our Indian friends from our community did write in the comment sections that they did not see any report about this topic in Indian newspapers and in India media. And if that's the case, then I assume Bloomberg was wrong. And Delhi is not planning to apply any sanctions on Russia. And I hope so, I hope so, because I was quite upset when I see that information, because, I won't see in India as a friendly state, because that's how I always see India, as a friendly state. So, I hope Bloomberg was mistaken. Yes, and this is it for now. If you find this video interesting, Please hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Twitter, Facebook, or Telegram. That will greatly help me to reach wide audience, and of course I will be very grateful for this help. Also, if you can, and if you want to, you can support my channel with small donations through PayPal or by subscribing to my Patreon channel. You will also see links under this video in the description box. This is it for now. Have a nice day. Take care and see you soon.